What if your exhaustion isn't burnout? It's really your spirit suffocating under the expectations that aren't really set by yourself. Maybe your anxiety isn't really the fear, but it's your soul is resisting the suppression. You're told to be small, to be quiet, play small, be palatable, be more lovable, be easy to love, right? Easy to manage, all of these things. But when you shrink, you also shrink your frequency. You shrink your purpose as well. When you dim your light, you are dimming your own guidance. You are blocking your own medicine. Today, let's remember that you are the medicine, that you do not have to find your purpose. You just have to stop abandoning it. Hey there, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another Mindful Monday. That's right. I'm your host, your girl, Erica Trimnell, also known as the Mindful Mistress. Here at Prison Vibes, we are all about empowerment. I'd like to infuse ancestral knowledge with the science to give you a unique perspective on things that we deal with, that we struggle with every single day. So if you've been feeling maybe unmotivated, feeling like maybe you even have a creative block or there's some emotional something that's going on, I want you to know it's not your fault that you're feeling off. It might be that your energy field is responding to years, maybe even decades of moments where we have abandoned ourselves, self-abandonment. They could be in small, quiet moments, or they could have been really big things that we have done or internalized from other people that have caused us to constantly abandon ourselves. So today we are going to dive into what it really means to stop shrinking, stop playing small, and how your frequency is also impacted in this. So when you're able to open up, when you're able to truly expand, you finally allow yourself to take up space, and not just physical space that we're in, right? But the space vibrationally, the vibration that was instilled in you from the very moment you took your first breath. And for those of us who believe even before that, this isn't about becoming louder or more boisterous. This is about becoming yourself or more of yourself or coming home to yourself, becoming truer. It's about aligning with the power that you are already holding on to, your God-given right. And you were never meant to outsource who you are or your power. So, wherever you are, sit back, relax, enjoy the episode today because we are diving, we are walking, we are doing all the things. So, if you've got that laundry handy, have this playing in the background. If you were in the car, I welcome you to take just a few sacred moments with me and let's uncover what it's like when you shrink your power and how we can move from shrinking to expansion. This is your space, your safe space for expansion here. So let's first start talking about the many ways, or sometimes they're loud ways, but they can also be silent ways where we learn to shrink ourselves. That's right. We've all been in environment situations where we've played small, maybe because we didn't want to hurt somebody else's feelings, maybe because we were taught that, et cetera, et cetera. So, a teacher who said, don't be so sensitive, right? Is a way how practically, and we think about kids, how we then think, oh shoot, I shouldn't have been doing what I was doing, right? That reaction was not acceptable. Think about a parent who maybe needed you to play small so that they can feel big. A family system that even rewarded you for being obedient and not expressive. There are just so many different ways in life, and each one of us has our own journey and our own social and cultural norms that have really just imprinted not only in our minds, but more importantly, in our nervous system. That's right, in our bodies. Like I've talked before, our bodies are truly our library. They hold all of the secrets, good and bad. So with this encompasses our energy field. So our energy field has taken on these imprints from these moments when we have shrunk as well. So from a trauma lens, we call the like fawning response, which I know a lot of people aren't used to hearing about fawning. We're used to hearing the fight, flight, and then now freeze. But the fawning response is when we shape shift, right? When you do the dance, when you like start doing the you do the matrix, right? To stay safe. But from an energetic standpoint, this is when your frequency collapses. So you are playing this beautiful song, this beautiful melody, and then it gets to a point where you feel, or you're more like your nervous system feels like, hey, this situation is not safe if I continue to be myself. So I need to shape shift, AKA bring my frequency down, even mute my frequency so that I can preserve myself. Now, this is not, we've talked about this before. When we're in these moments, it's not always truly a threatening situation, but because of our past experience, our bodies and minds can view it like this. So you really start to pull your energy inward and down and tight, and it gets collapsed. So you can be more maybe palatable, more digestible, but also you become more disconnected from yourself. That's right. So that's why, the just be confident talk, or so many workshops that I see on how to be confident and all these things. Yet most of those workshops do not acknowledge the fact that society and systems are in place today, and likely since we've been born, that have told us we can't be confident, because if your confidence is not in this box we've created for you, then it's not going to work, right? We need you to be confident if it's in this palatable thing. So because confidence isn't really the issue is containment or confinement. That is the true issue. So you've really been compromising your soul and trying to compress it into this version of you that fits other people's ideology, other people's way of life, other people's comfort zone. But the real truth of the matter, folks, is that your light was never meant to be dim. It was never meant to be managed. It was meant to be moved. It was meant to be seen. We are all beacons of light for the people who we come across in our lives. And there are those people who I'm grateful for. I don't know about you, who remind you that your light is worthy to shine. And I'm grateful when I have those moments and when I have those people or experiences that remind me that, yeah, I have been playing small. So when you stop shrinking, you don't become too much. You become accurate. You become aligned. You become true. You become the frequency that you were made to be. So let's take a pause for a moment and do a really quick check-in. What I want you to do, and if you need to grab some paper, I don't have paper here normally I do because I like to take notes, but let's take a pause and I want you to ask yourself. The first question I want you to ask yourself is, do you apologize for your needs before you even express them? Now I want you to think about that. Do you apologize for your needs even before you express them? So what this might sound like is, I'm so sorry I have to ask this, or I wish I didn't need this, something to that effect. So do you ever apologize for whatever it is you need, whether it's an emotional need, a physical need, a spiritual need? Do you apologize before you even tell the person what it is you need? So right then you've already deemed your needs not to be worthy of someone's time, attention, or response from the get-go without even knowing, honestly. The other thing to ask yourself is, do you edit your truth to avoid discomfort or rejection? That's a big one. Like there's a situation that immediately popped up in my head as soon as I said that. So I will say it again. Do you edit your truth to avoid discomfort or rejection? I can tell you with family, absolutely. Absolutely. I've done it, and it's something that I'm working not to do, especially with family members. Another question. Do you tone yourself down in spaces just so you can feel safe? If you've answered yes to any of these, this is your reality check. This is your awareness check. This is your frequency check that you are likely shrinking whether you realize it or not. This isn't a moment to shame you. This is just that moment of awareness, because without having awareness, right, we're obviously not going to change anything because we don't know anything exists. So this is your moment of awareness and just fact finding, getting that information. And awareness is that first step. It's that first vibrational step on the road of true transformation. So let's dive into that a little bit deeper when we're thinking about like the signs and symptoms. So you might be shrinking your frequency without realizing. Some energetic signs that might come up for you is you feel drained after being around others. Your energy maybe even feels heavy or foggy. You could be maybe physically tense up before expressing your needs or your own emotions or opinions. So if that sounds like you from an energetic standpoint, these are signs. These are signs your body, remember your body is that library, it's that history. It is that history book. It is that Bible of you that knows you way better than you know yourself. So that's what it looks like energetically. From an emotional standpoint, what could happen is you're constantly second guessing your own intuition. You feel like you're too much or not enough sometimes, both in the same day. It could be, heck, in the same moment. Maybe you start to feel resentful, but stay silent just to avoid conflict. Now, that is something, I don't know about you, I've definitely struggled with. I remember a quote, something to the effect of, when you stay silent to avoid the war, avoid the conflict, you really start that war, that conflict within you, right? You think you're being peaceful, but what you're doing is starting that turmoil inside of you. And that's when you get the opportunity to choose, is it better to hash it out with this individual, or is this something that I want to hold on to and start this war inside of me? The choice is yours. I'll say nothing. I'll say less, right? So a spiritual sign that you are also shrinking your frequency, shrinking, period, is you cannot connect yourself to your purpose or any passion anymore. You feel disconnected from your guides, your higher self, God. Maybe you stop doing rituals or your creative practice, or you stop praying. You stop doing the things that really brought you joy. You stop meditating. So if you've noticed yourself moving away, that could be it. I'm not saying that's it, but these are just signs. What I like to say about signs is, you might have a sign here, you might have a sign there, but when you can put them together collectively, it really gives you that bigger picture, the story where you can start digging a little bit deeper, doing some shadow work around this. And if any of these landed, maybe you want to stop, pause, take a breath. And I want you to know that nothing is wrong with you, but your soul could be calling out for you to expand back into the person you were skillfully designed to be, that you were created to be, this powerful being that has so much to give the world and a light to be seen for others. So to that point, let's all take a pause together. Let's do a short but impactful somatic guided practice where it can really help us reconnect to that unshrunken self, if you will, if that is not even a word, to the higher self, the larger self. So what I would like you to do, and if this is available for you, if not, that's okay. You can pause and always come back, is find stillness. Whatever that looks like for you. Maybe you're going to place your hand on your heart or your belly. Maybe your hands are in your lap. And as you find stillness and you settle into that, like I said, whatever that is for you, even if you want to lay down, heck, do it by all means. Taking a deep inhale. But when I say taking a deep inhale, I mean a conscious inhale from your belly, like way past that diaphragm. As deep as you can, inhaling through your nose, and then when you're ready to exhale, do a soft exhale with a slight sigh, bringing that vibration, bringing that frequency, bringing yourself back to life. And then take a moment to just scan your body. Scan your body from head to toe. What do you feel? Do you notice anything that feels small? Perhaps there's something that even feels a little tight or compressed. And when you notice this in your body, wherever you find it, no judgment when you find it, I want you, if it's available to you, to just do a low hum, low and slow. And as you hum, I want you to imagine that as you are humming, you are feeling the sound of the hum. That vibration is slowly vibrating from your chest to wherever that part of you that feels small. And as it reaches that area, as that hum, as that vibration reaches that area, wherever it feels small in your body, that vibration is waking it up and growing it. It's growing it bigger and bigger. It's giving it power from the unshrunken parts of you. It is breathing life into those areas that feel small, that feel shrunken, that feel tight, that feel heavy. And maybe you do a little shake and you wiggle your hands, because now you are feeling this expansion, not just in the small, tight area, but you are feeling this expansion everywhere. And you're connecting with your aura, you're connecting with your spirit. And if it feels good for you, maybe you say an affirmation like, I release the need to be small. I remember the truth of who I am. I am a guiding light. Now just imagine this is all this beautiful little soup we're making. We in the kitchen, we cooking, right? We've got the somatics. We've got the vibration of the hum. We've got the visualization. You are filling your aura, your body, your spirit with every breath that you hum. You are expanding. And just imagine, however long you want to do this, maybe filling the room, filling your home, filling whatever space, filling your car you're in, and just keep going out. Maybe it's the block, and it's the city, and then it's the state, and then it's, wherever you are. Feel your own unique energy that is expansive, that is omnipresent, and that is connected to this entire universe. No, you are not your trauma. You are just you. And just like a prism of light, the more light that you allow in, the more the beautiful spectrum you get to reflect back into this world. And that is you. So take a moment, sit in this, and let's bridge this moment with what we know now from the science perspective. So as you slowly come back into your body, into this space, and back into with this video, let's talk about what this looks like from the science perspective. Now, if you know anything about me, like I said, I like putting the ancient wisdom. Our ancestors were so smart and talented and brilliant. And I love that science, as slow as science is, we're finally catching up to meet in the middle. So from the science, the science standpoint, something that I've talked about before is the vagus nerve. It's the longest nerve in our body. So this is our body's, let's say, kind of like our social engagement superhighway. It is an energetic thread, if you will, that really connects everything from your brain stem all the way to your gut. Your heart is connected, your lungs, even your vocal cord. So the vagus is really what regulates how safe you feel in this world. So think about this. You have a nerve that goes from like from the head to the root, essentially, that regulates how safe you feel in this world. And if you know anything about the polyvagal theory, that's safe and social, and then talk about like your window of tolerance, when you're able to handle things, and then when it gets shorter, then that's when, like, let's say your temper, right, your attention span, all of those get shorter when your window of resilience or your window of tolerance, however depending on who you listen to, that's what it's called. So it regulates how safe you feel. And so when you don't feel safe, that window shrinks. And when you do feel safe, that window can expand to where you allow more things, more stimuli to come into your world without you shrinking, because you don't feel safe. So whether you are able to show up or whether you sit down or shut down, this is all determined through the vagus nerve. And so when you have been in trauma or you're a chronic stress or you're in survival mode, your vagal tone drops. So what this is your body begins to contract to protect you. Think of like I want to say a tortoise. I don't know why. My head was thinking turtle and then mouth said tortoise. But thinking of a tortoise or a turtle, right? It's got that shell. So imagine when all the legs and the feet, the hands and the feet, the legs and the feet, like they're connected. But when the hands and the feet come into the shell to protect it, that is contraction. That is an example of what happens to us. Your voice might begin to soften or disappear. Your posture even caves in. Your breathing becomes very shallow. Your intuition gets cloudy. Your body starts prioritizing survival things. So most people in this, they're not wanting to eat. They're not in that rest and digest. They're like, no, I'm ready to like run, right? The fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. So there's an energetic side of this. And what happens is that your frequency also collapses as well. It literally goes inward. So your aura, which could be this big, beautiful presence of color, starts to dim. When you vibrate on a level of protection and not purpose. So to give you a practical example of this, like one of my clients is a very gifted speaker. And every time she stepped on the stage, her voice would crack and her hands would stumble and her throat would tighten. And I totally resonate with this because that sounds like me. Even though I do speak often, I still get that like anxious or stage fright. So this for her was not because she didn't know her material, she didn't know her stuff, but her body had coded visibility with danger. So think about that. Some of you guys might be experiencing the same thing, but maybe it doesn't show up in public speaking. Maybe it shows up in a different way. So even though, she very much wanted to be seen, her vagus nerve system says, no way, sister, we shrink it. And through doing some breath work, through doing some vocal toning and using some hard opening plant medicine, we were able to reprogram that so that her nervous system was no longer programmed. When you are seeing this means danger. So we use things like rose that were super helpful and supportive, kana, which is super helpful and supportive. And you could just see the transformation as she slowly started to have these moments where there's more space in between, let's say, the stimuli and the symptoms, to where it got so she could get on stage and no longer had the voice crackling or shaking. Her presence expanded and she lit up because this was exactly what she was supposed to be doing. She was operating in her purpose, but because of her past, that prevented her from progressing. Look at that, those alliterations. Yes, 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 yes. So when we think about this from the space of like quantum energy, your frequency equals information plus your intention. So every cell in your body broadcasts a signal. Your thoughts, your words, your emotions, your movements, they all carry a vibrational code. And so when you shrink, your frequency also shrinks. When you mute your voice, you dim your gift, you silence your desires. You are withholding your soul's data from the world, your soul's light. You're still here, but you're vibrating in essentially like a ghost mode, if you will. So that's why when you feel disconnected or stuck, or like you're watching your life from like a screen or a moving instead of living it, you are not living in your purpose. And it doesn't mean your purpose is gone. It just means it's muted. It's buried deep underneath the residual suppression and self-protection. So there's a beautiful truth that when your vibration aligns with your truth, you become the thing you have been searching for. When your vibration aligns with your truth, you have become the very thing you have been searching for. I felt like that deserved a repeat. No, I didn't just repeat it because I forgot what I was going to say, but I thought that that's so important to really double tap on. It's not an out there thing. It's something that's already in here. It's something that we've already been coded with. It's in our energy field. We just have to clear what's dimming it. And that's how this works. This is how you become. This is how you transform into something new. Is really about taking away the clutter. It's not about going outside of yourself. It's going within to remove the barriers that have been put in front of you that prevent you from being who you were called to be. I had a client named Janelle, same thing. She felt like she was always watching her life happen through the window, never like she was actually living it. She was unclear about her purpose, her passion. Her vibrational field collapsed. Same thing, using plant medicine, using vocal tuning, using your body as a way out, a way through. We were able to shift that narrative. Her body language opened up. Her intention was no longer buried. We went from stuck to guided because we figured out that we needed to clear some junk away. We were shrinking instead of expanding. So let's be honest about the cost of staying small, because I don't think that we talk about it enough. We always talk about consequences, but rarely do we talk about the opportunity cost of staying exactly where you are. And if that's you playing small, that opportunity cost, the chronic fatigue, the emotional burnout you are feeling or that you will definitely feel. The people pleasing that leads to resentment or leads you in situations or relationships you never wanted to be in. The suppressed creativity, the suppressed intuition, all of those things, the shallow relationships where you've met someone here and you never felt seen the entire time of the relationship because you played small, because you wanted somebody else's light to shine more than you, because your relationship to your own worth was skewed based on the people, places, environments you've been in that told you you were not worthy unless you did X, Y, and Z. Your constant need to discover things outside of you to bring value to you versus to go within. Staying in this shrunken, small state really creates a spiritual gridlock. You cannot download your vision if you are vibrating at a level of invisibility. And your nervous system, it starts to begin to code this contraction into your normal state where people are constantly hypervigilant, where people are constantly in this, I'm going to stay away, this avoidant behavior. The longer you wait to expand, the harder it becomes to remember what wholeness feels like. The moment you decide to stop abandoning your energy, and I say this with all sincerity because I'm a person who has been through trauma and knows what it's like to heal forward. The longer you stay in the state, the harder it is because you don't even feel like wholeness is something you deserve, that is something out there for you. You feel like this is it, but I am telling you from the other side that this is not all you were meant to be. You were meant to be so much more than you are right now. We all have a path. But it's your choice on whether or not you want to lean into it. So I'm going to give you some tools on how you can begin to expand gently, a little bit at a time, daily, especially in a world that constantly asks us to shrink. So these are a few things that you can do to help keep you grounded and begin your journey to expansion, no matter where you are on that road to expansion. The first thing is speaking one uncensored thing daily. So even if you are whispering it silent to yourself or you're putting this in your journal, being raw, being real, even if it feels awkward, the truth really clears that static signal and helps recalibrate our frequency. Returning home to your no, saying no. No is not a rejection. Leaning into a no, being glad when somebody says no. Make it a ritual. Write it out. Make it a song and dance it. Honor no. Honor getting to the no faster. Every sacred no is really a vote in your own way to expand. Then reclaiming your own vibrational allies. So whether this is plant medicine, whether this is through Somatic, so whether this is through sound, like reclaiming what works for you. And if you don't know, have some fun, play around, figure out what works for you. Let the medicine on earth remind you of your own blueprint. How we started this year by connecting to our blueprint. Move with sound, the shake, the tone, the hum. Remember, your body is that library that has held every single event in your life. Everyone. Up until this moment. So use it, leverage it, move that stuck energy out. Mirror work is a great practice where you look into your eyes, you look into your souls, maybe you get an affirmation and I am no longer abandoning myself to belong. I am no longer small. I am sacred, and I have the ability to expand and align. These aren't just habits. These aren't just tools to practice, but these are actually energetic declarations to tell your nervous system, hey, tell your aura, tell your ancestors, I am no longer shrinking. I am returning home. And when you make that declaration and then, right, faith without works is dead. When you start moving in that direction, you will be amazed at how the universe conspires to get you to return all the way home to yourself, uncovering people, places, and things you never thought you would, and be in a completely different state of mind, of body, soul, spirit than you were a year from now. So let's end with embodiment. Let's take a final breath from our bellies together. Let our shoulders soften. Let us return to this beautiful present moment where we got to spend a little time together. I'm so grateful for you because in these moments, they're reflections from me. They are reminders. They are lessons for me as well. So as we think about taking our last breath, in deep from that belly, out with the hum. I want you to think about how you are no longer going to shrink to stay safe. How you will be seen even in the smallest of moments. How you will align with your own truth and your own frequency. How you will remember your own power and you will express yourself. You be that beacon of light you were meant to be because others are out here waiting for your light to shine. I know I'm looking for your light. If this at all resonated with you, please like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. Happy to keep the conversation going. I love you. Thank you so much for your time today. Until next Monday. Bye.